Today I'm making Thor's hammer for my friends Corey and Jessica over at Make Shape Create. I started with this scrap piece of pine that I found at the makerspace. I started by taking it over to the table saw to clean up the side. This could also be done with a planer as well, but when I started this project I didn't as of yet have access to one, so the table saw was my next best option. Once I had all the faces cleaned up, I took it over to my bench and clamped down a large ruler as a straight edge and used clamps as a stop block so I could plane all the faces flat. I used a level to see where the uneven areas were and mark them with a pencil. And then went over those places with a jack plane until I had a flat-ish surface. Next, after I had flattened the faces, I marked the piece to the length I wanted and cut it out with my Japanese pole saw. Then it's time to sand everything smooth and once again take the head of the hammer back to the table saw to cut all the distinctive bevels that make Thor's hammer so unique. For my bevels, I'm just sticking with a simple 45-degree angle on the sides and the faces of the hammer because it was the easiest for me and still provided a great look. With the head cut to the final size and shape, it's time to start working on the handle. I marked the center of the head, found a piece of 1¼ inch pine dowel I wanted to use, and then drilled the hole using a Forstner bit. Once the hole was drilled, I cut the dowel down to length on the miter saw. I wanted to do something to really make this hammer stand out, so I pulled out my wood burner and stippled all the beveled edges, and while this gave it an incredible look, it took forever to do so. So I would really only recommend this technique if you have some time on your hands, but if you do, the results are amazing. To give it even more detail and so it would match the Marvel version a bit more, I printed out this Celtic knot design to carve into the sides. I laid down some blue tape, then glued down the paper stencil to the surface, and then cut out the areas I wanted to carve. When that was done, I used various bits on my Dremel and a carving knife to carve out the inside design and the outer perimeter. Using my torch, I highlighted the grain of the wood so it would make the design pop and really tie the whole piece together. For the circle that goes on top of the hammer, I got a wood circle from my local craft store, torched it, and just glued it in place. Moving back to the handle, I glued that in place using some Type Bond 2. After that had dried, I laid the hammer on its side and clamped it down. Using a wood rasp, I started flattening the sides of the dowel to make the handle more ovoid. This way it'll be more comfortable and more secure in the wielder's hands. I finished it off with a sander and then proceeded to drill a hole for the lanyard. And naturally, I had to torch the handle too. On to finishing, and for this I'm going to be using a satin water-based polyurethane. I brushed it on as evenly as I could and then let it dry. For the lanyard, I used twine and did a simple over-under braid till I had the length I wanted. I glued the ends with CA glue and then threaded it through the lanyard hole and then locked the lanyard together with some copper wire I had. I just twisted it around the ends and then hammered it into place. And with that, this project is done. I'm so stoked with how this hammer came out, and I hope Corey and Jess love it just as much as I do, because even though it took me a really long time to make, it is seriously one badass hammer. I want to thank all my patrons that helped make this project possible, including top tier patrons Steve Huber, Marion Ward, Corey Wall, and my newest patron, Nick Vespa. You guys rock. And thank you for watching to the end. It really helps me out a lot. I have another video here that I think you might also enjoy. And remember, do what you love and enjoy what you make.